So you're exhausted, but there's an exam tomorrow, but your eyes are heavy, but you still need to study. I know that feeling. At this point, most people would think that it's pointless, that you're never gonna get anything done anyways. Nothing is sticking because every time you try to study, you are half asleep. Trust me, been there, done that. I'm gonna tell you right now that you can still remember things even when you are half asleep. But that's only if you know how to use your brain's natural settings in order to do this. So this video is for those nights where you need to do a full study session, but you really just don't have the energy for it. And of course, you want to wake up remembering something so that it wasn't all for nothing. I'm gonna split this up into two parts. The first part is the mellow part, in my opinion, where you can be kind of soft with it, but a lot of the times it may not actually work for you. And I'm going to give you the second part, which is more of the borderline unethical methods. Nothing bad, I promise you, but I'm going to put the timestamps down below so you can skip to whatever parts you want. When you are on the edge of sleep, your brain switches gear. Starting off with the soft part. When your brain is on the edge of sleep, your brain will switch gears. It slows down from high energy beta waves, which is used for problem solving and focus, into slower theta and alpha waves, which is the same ones that we use for imagination, memory, and creativity. Which makes sense because when you fall asleep, you need all of those in order for you to dream. So in that state, your subconscious is what's taking over. So you need to remember that at this state, your brain is going to be too tired for you to force any focus to happen, but it is subconsciously remembering images and seeing images as well. Alongside this, your brain is also super receptive to sounds and emotions. So even when your eyes are closed, your mind is actually recording something, which means if you can hack this, you are going to be able to learn even when you sleep. I'm not even lying to you right now. I solved one of the mathematical questions that I had for my master's thesis that I was literally stuck with for a whole month, and I didn't go to my professor for it. I probably should have, but I was stuck with it for a whole month and I solved it in my sleep. Like, that is insane because my brain, turns out, works well when it's asleep. And that's also the reason why sometimes you think cramming works, because you go to sleep reading something and you remember it the day after, just because you're in that like perfect zone between sleep and studying at the same time, if that makes sense. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It just works and you wake up knowing everything. But then other times you cram and the next day you're like, oh my god, I am so dead for this exam because I cannot do it at all. These are the key points in which your brain knows what to take in and what it doesn't need to take in. And that is the imagery. So when you're this tired, logic will not work at all, but imagination will. So if you're trying to memorize details or cramming any text, don't just read it as is. It's already so boring and you're already so sleepy that you're just gonna fall asleep. What you want to do instead is to literally create a memory of this, like by making it into a really weird story. Literally just try your hardest. I know you're so sleepy, but try your hardest to create a story out of this. For example, let's say I have this one over here, collision theory and activation energy. This definition, it says collision theory is chemical reactions can only occur when reacting particles collide with each other and with sufficient energy. Immediately, my brain goes to like car crash, things hitting each other, boxing games, literally just anything that's like reactive, anything hitting. Like just the word collision makes me think of that, and therefore I will remember it because I'm able to imagine that happening. Does that make sense? So when you visualize the concept, you're turning it into a clear mental image that your brain will be more receptive towards. Now, a lot of you may say, oh, I have aphantasia, I'm not able to imagine any of this. Then you can do the easy way out, which is to use technology. So when you're reading something like this and you're like, collision theory, what is that? I can't imagine it. There's so many YouTube videos out there for most of the content that you are learning. So just search visualization of collision theory, visualization of blah, 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 whatever it is that you want to do. And if you want to use AI and you do use AI, then you can use that as well. Ask AI to basically create a visualization system. It doesn't have to be a video. It doesn't have to be a picture. It could literally just be a description that's very detailed that makes it easy for you to understand. Do whatever it is that you need to do in order to get there, basically. Now, on top of the visualization, you don't want to just end it there. You also want to give it sounds. You want to give it any emotion that you can have, like the collision theory, like I was saying before. I'm imagining car crashes, so I'm hearing the car crash happening. I'm hearing like metal crashing as if it's in a cartoon movie. If I'm imagining boxing, then I'm hearing the crowds. I'm imagining the MC narrating what's happening. Things like that. Like literally just imagine as much as you can with sounds and emotions as well to lock it in further. And then when you do fall asleep, your subconscious will continue making that image in your mind, maybe even turning it into a dream, and it will just fill in the dots for you. That makes it a lot easier for you to remember your subjects because you're literally learning it as you're sleeping. This process works the same way as athletes. A basketball player who visualizes the perfect throw actually activates the same brain circuits as when they are actually doing it in real life. Gymnasts do the same by mentally going through their routine in their minds so that when they are on the podium or whatever it is that they're called, the beam I think, they are able to do it because their brain activates this brain circuit that has that, and it triggers the muscles as if it's already practiced. Even public speakers, even me speaking to you right now, I go through all the information in my mind before I say it out loud, which means I'm rehearsing it, making it a lot easier for me to talk about it. And they're all using one simple truth, which is that your subconsciousness doesn't need the body to move. So that means you don't need to actively be writing down something, doing your notes, doing past papers, whatever it is. Just activate your subconscious, and it is basically as if you are studying already. It just needs that mental image in order to help that. That's why half asleep studying can still work, because you're activating your inner learner, if that makes sense. You're not just studying at this point, you are actually learning about the subject itself by finding different ways to understand it that will actually click further in your mind. So here's a step-by-step on how you can use this state properly instead of fighting it. By this state, I mean literally the state where you're half asleep. Step 1, switching to light review. When you feel yourself getting tired, stop learning new material. You want to shift to review mode instead of learning mode. You want to skim the information, blurt what you already know, just get back into it without kind of triggering yourself to feeling tired all over again. Your goal now is to remind yourself instead of cramming. Number 2, pick one key concept for you to visualize. So you want to choose one idea that matters the most in the subject that you're learning right now. You can use ChatGPT to find this if you want, but literally just whatever is the most important concept and you need to memorize that, that's what you're going to use for this. You're going to close your eyes and you're going to turn this into a mental scene of what's happening basically. You want to picture yourself being in this scene, or as if you are explaining the scene to someone, or as if you are drawing it out or already solving it. Feel the ease of doing it right. Step 3, stop right before you fall asleep. When your eyes are heavy, but you can still remember the concepts clearly, stop. Just stop, don't do anything. That is the perfect moment for your subconscious to take over. I will tell you right now that there is an unethical trick that is related to this later on, so make sure you go to that unethical part later. I don't even want to call it unethical. Like, I can't think of another name for it, so that's why I'm calling it that. But tell me down below what I should rename it into, because I feel like it's not even unethical. I just can't think of a name for it. But anyways, by doing this, it's as if you are planting a seed just before you fall asleep and letting it grow afterwards using your subconscious. Step number 4, let sleep do the work for you. Once that's all done, your subconscious will take over, it will fill in the gaps, and that's it. Your brain will literally just know what's happening. And that's why even a 15-minute sleepy review before you go to bed will actually be so much more productive as compared to a 15-hour study session. But this will not fully work if you don't get up in the morning and take a look at your notes again to reinforce it further. Now, the key thing that I do need you to remember after you come off from this video is that you cannot do this when there is a lot of pressure. Now, I don't mean that, okay, exams are tomorrow and you're super scared, because obviously you're going to feel some pressure there, but I don't want you to add additional pressure for yourself. Just let it happen, let it flow, because your subconscious only works when you're not scared, if that makes sense. Now, I know that sounds really difficult to do, and I actually learned the techniques to do this from therapy. It wasn't specifically for studying, but I just translated it into studying. But it's literally just writing down everything that you're scared of, but not just like writing it down and that's it, but also telling yourself, like, is there any proof of this not happening? So for example, if I'm getting worried about tomorrow's exam and I'm like, okay, I don't have enough time to do this, blah, 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 I will then write it down and I'll be like, okay, do I have any proof that I don't have enough time? And then I will look at the amount of time I have left. I will look at the chapters that I have left. And then I will say, okay, if I do this amount of chapters within this amount of hours, and then the rest of them I do past papers, then I will have time, and then I just feel so much better about it. Because I'm like, okay, I actually do have a plan that I've created now, and I can actually do this. It doesn't make me feel so pressured. So when I don't feel pressured, I can do the subconscious method. Now, if you feel pressured about how you're going to do this, don't do that either. You want to ask yourself, what's the one image or idea I want to remember when I wake up? Then you're going to hold that idea or image in your mind and then rest. You are still studying, but you're just doing it differently. Now, please don't come into the comments and say, oh, but this is not a full study session. It is definitely not a full study session. I will say that right now. It is not a full study session. It will not replace a full study session, but it is a last minute hack or a last minute, I guess, not distraction, but a last minute effort that you can do because desperate times calls for desperate measures. It is a way for you to work with your fatigue instead of going around it, because obviously, like, when you're so tired and you just have so many things happening, it's just not possible. But what we're gonna do right now is how we can go around that and make it manageable and adapt to the situations as compared to us fighting the situation. Now, putting all of that aside for now, let's talk about the borderline unethical things. Again, tell me what name I should give this at the end of this video, because I don't think I should name it borderline unethical things, because it's not. So sometimes the problem isn't just tiredness. Sometimes it's that it's monotonous. Especially if you are neurodivergent, this is probably going to be super relatable to you because you just get bored of learning something that you are not interested about, and no matter what you do, you will still not want to do it. Even if there's an exam coming, whatever it is, you just don't want to do it because you don't find it interesting. And sometimes it is also just because it's monotonous. It is tedious, it is boring work, you just don't want to touch it, you can't bring yourself to do it. So then you start to feel your focus drifting away and your eyes are glazing over, staring at the same page over and over again, and it's counterproductive. Your brain has entered a rut and you are starting to shut down. This is the time to force a hard context switch. So if you've been memorizing biology for an entire hour and literally nothing is going into your brain, nothing at all, you are literally reading the same paragraph over and over again, that is a sign. That is your brain telling you, please leave me alone, please don't do this, switch to a different subject. You don't have to stop studying completely and give up completely. You don't have to do that, and you probably shouldn't be doing that, especially if you have an exam. Just switch the subject. I would always suggest going into maths because maths is relatively simple in my mind. Like, I'm not saying maths is easy. I love maths, I do have to say that, but I'm saying that maths has a step and a process to it for you to do the subject. It's not guesswork like chemistry, physics, or biology. It's more like procedural, and it's less boring in a way because you already know, okay, I know the next step is going to be this, the next step is going to be that. So your brain gets triggered back into the activation mode from that. That sudden shift will also make your brain have that cognitive reset. And that shock from changing the subject is going to activate your brain again. But that's a lot of effort in order to do this. So what other tricks can you do in order to still have that shock while still being able to study and not having to study at the same time? The answer is taking a cold shower. I'm telling you, if you don't feel like studying, you feel like you can't focus at all, shower. But I don't mean a warm shower with your best body rubs, with your best smelling shampoos, etc. No, none of those. Literally cold water, a bar soap, scrub yourself and make yourself feel so uncomfortable that it shocks your system. And if you don't want to take a shower, ice water on your face or just literally an ice cube at the back of your neck. That physical shock will literally override your mental fatigue. But I do have to say, this is only for desperate times calling for desperate measures, okay? Don't do this every single time you're studying because you are gonna burn out because you're forcing yourself to keep going at this point. Next is the uncomfortable chair. I am sitting in a very comfortable chair right now. This chair here was actually sent to me, but this is like a ADHD chair. Very comfortable for me to use when I'm filming, when I'm studying, doing whatever. If I didn't want to be comfortable, I'd be on the floor. And that's why I study like 24/7 on the floor, because every time I'm on the floor, I am the most productive because I'm also the most uncomfortable and I want to get off of it as quickly as I can. So I study as quickly as I can as well, which somehow makes the information stick to my mind a lot longer because I remember, oh right, I was writing or reading about this as I was really uncomfortable in that position on the floor. And that's also why a lot of people say standing desks are really helpful, because standing desk makes you feel uncomfortable and forces you to get into that productivity mindset. The next one is the one that's related to what I was saying before about being half asleep and then letting your brain kind of like match the two together or put the dots together. And this is literally thinking of an idea. As we said before, think of an idea that you want to remember when you wake up. And then with this idea, keep it in your mind, but lay down on your bed, on the sofa, whatever it is, holding a spoon. And make sure there's like a bowl underneath that will make a loud sound. Or if it's good, like the best one would be a metal bowl and a metal spoon. And hold it over the bowl and spoon so that when you fall asleep, your hand will let go of the spoon and it will drop onto the bowl. When that happens, it triggers your brain to wake up. Obviously, you wake up because you're like, oh my god, what was that? Because you hear the loud sound. But at the same time, your brain was still going through that idea, which makes your brain actually go through a creativity process, and you still remember everything that your brain, like, you know, what I'm trying to say is that, you know, that feeling when you're like half asleep and you start to dream, your brain's gonna get into that dream mode, but with the idea that you gave it before. So if you were thinking about collision theory, your brain is gonna start going to that dream mode of the collision theory. But the good thing about this is that you are triggering yourself to wake up. So when you wake up, you remember all of the dream that you just had. So immediately after that, write down what the dream was, and you will see that your brain connected the dots. It's actually so insane how well this works, and it's my favorite trick to do. So give it a try and let me know if you do it. And the last one is just changing your light. If your light is dim, make it super bright, as if you're in a hospital or in a, I don't know, I want to say library, but libraries are also quite cozy. Make it as if you're in a lecture theater where it's like the most uncomfortable thing you've ever been in, and the lights are so bright and so blinding at 8 a.m. in the morning that you just don't want to be there at all, as if it's like in a hospital. Like, literally just make it so uncomfortable and so bright that you will be forced to do it, and you will be forced to stay awake because you can't fall asleep anyways. It's so uncomfortable. And of course, that will trick your brain into remembering it's not time to sleep yet. So yeah, if you can't study because you're too tired, just change your approach. I know that's so much easier to say than do, but hopefully after watching this video, all of these tips will be helpful for you and you'll be able to get into that mode as well. So you want to use the half asleep state intentionally. Feed your mind one strong, clear idea, visualize it, keep it there, use the tricks that I mentioned, and you'll be okay. Your conscious mind might need some sleep, but your subconscious never really stops learning. And sometimes the most productive studying happens just before you sleep anyways. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed that video and enjoyed those tips, don't forget to give me a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. Share this with your friends that you think may find it helpful as well, and have a look at the rest of my other videos as well if you haven't yet, especially the manage your time video, because it's popping off and I think you will enjoy it as well. Aside from that, see you guys in the next video. Bye!